So the the meeting is being recorded. I'll add a live transcript and it's on. So welcome back to our check-in meetings. Even though we've only, missed a few since June, it feels like the seasons have changed, more than one season, and a lot of things have happened. So I have the agenda, which I posted in the chat, and I'm happy to post it again. And these are things that I thought we could discuss. But really, this meeting is for all of us. It's for you to connect with one another. So I want you to know that if there's anything that you want to talk about with our colleagues, that we can make that a priority and put that number one. So take a look. And I'm going to take a look back at that agenda too. I don't think that I need a co-host volunteer. So I will take the meeting notes and update them at the end of this meeting. Come back to our Zoom chat. I was looking at the agenda. Does anybody have anything that you want to put on the agenda right now before we jump in? Okay. Well, then I will start with a reminder that every year, South Central provides grant funds for youth programs, the youth literacy funds. It now is September, and if you have not spent those dollars, please try to spend that money by the end of October, so we can make sure that everybody gets reimbursed this year and reimbursed before the year end. We need to have those checks cut at the end of December, and this year we can't make any arrangements for late checks. So get that money spent. Let me know if you have questions about how to spend that money or whether or not your library has spent that money, and I can get back to you. You can always always contact Heidi Moe here at South Central, and she can let you know how much money you have left if you've spent the money. So that was a big announcement from Heidi and from Carrie, our business manager, that we will be getting those checks out this month, October and November, and if we have to, December, but let's try to spend that money right now. And once again, these are funds that can be used to support any of your youth programming. A lot of you use it for the summer library program, but know that you can use this money for any other youth programs that you have going on through the year. You can use the money to purchase incentives. You can use the money to purchase program materials that you would use in your own programs. Pretty much anything except for general collection development dollars. We don't want these going into your general collection dollars funds. Are there any questions about that? Okay. I don't have it on the discussion list, but spending money reminds me that every year for the last 15 or so years, South Central has placed a group puppet order for libraries, and that's something I'm happy to do again. Is there interest in that? Okay, I think we need to spend a total of $100 to get the group discount, and we usually spend that, within a couple of orders. So I will talk to Heidi about getting that set up. I just remembered that this morning, and we usually do that this time of the year. And try to get everything before the end of the year. So let's look at October 15th as a deadline, and you'll be seeing the puppet order forms very soon. Okay, looking back at the agenda, I'm going to move discussion item 2C up before we have the SLP recap. So a lot of you have asked me about Beanstack and the state's support of this service. It looks like we don't have anything confirmed yet from the state because the license ends at the end of this year, the statewide license. The state knows that this is a really popular service, and I've mentioned this a few times. In the next couple of weeks, I'm planning on writing a note, a memo, or a letter to DPI thanking them for Beanstack and encouraging them to resubscribe in 2023. So if any of you have any anecdotes that you would like to share with me that I could include in that thank you letter, I'd really appreciate it, especially anecdotes about how it made your summers easier and how it encouraged participation and sign up. I've heard from a few libraries that Beanstack actually encouraged entire families to sign up. So more adults have signed up for summer library programs. And that's the type of information that I know the state would love to hear. So anything about Beanstack that you want me to share with the state, if you could get that information to me by I have a new kitten, by the way, who's joining us today. Here we go. Here she is. If you could get Beanstack anecdotes to me by, what is the end? Let's say by the 21st, by the first day of autumn. That would be great. And I'll send reminders out about this too. And with that, if there's anything that you want me to know about how we could make Beanstack even better and easier for you and your community members to use, include that in that note to me as well. Anything about Beanstack right now? Okay, I'm admitting a bunch of people. Go ahead.
So Beanstack just reached out to public schools in Wisconsin, and they're allowing them to use it. Is that ending at the end of this year too?
Boy, I don't know.
Because that could be a good argument, because I know Beanstack now, I think I've only just looked into it briefly, but I think they're allowing families to sign up once and they can use their accounts through the school and through the public library. So that could be a really good argument for continuing it for us as well.
Thank you, Nicole. So have others connected with your school colleagues and heard this information?
I only just saw it in an email from Beanstack, so I'm thinking it's really new and maybe even hasn't rolled out completely yet.
Okay. So yeah, maybe that's a good sign.
Mhm.
I can sort of add to that. When I was still working at Columbus, we were actually in the works with the public school in Columbus because they were thinking about implementing Beanstack. So they had reached out to us to ask, like, how did it go, learning curves and that sort of thing. And then we were talking with each other and then also with our Beanstack representative. And yeah, there's I forget what term they use, like tagging or piggybacking or something like that, where the account will work for both. But yeah, that's something that we were looking at there. In some circumstances, it might be good also for libraries that are really in close proximity. I know for Sauk City and Prairie du Sac here, we're pretty close, but we haven't looked into that yet either. So
yeah. Thank you, Bethany, for that. And I think that is such a great example of efficiencies at the DPI level, because not only, you know, does the DPI oversee public libraries or support public libraries, but they also mostly support public education. So that's great to know. Okay. Um, and then from Fitchburg, yeah, you are in a weird position because you don't have a school district. Um, and Verona signed up their school kids with the Verona Library. Here's Jess from Verona, that the school district partnered with Beanstack. Each organization had a separate program. Thank you, Jess and Tim, for adding that information. Another example of neighboring libraries and how we can work together.
And I came in a little late, but we actually did the partnership with the school district where we like, I forget what the term is, like piggybacked, where if the kids had like, all the kids have their school iPads and they all there's like an app called Clever that they could get to Beanstack through.
Cool.
And but it wasn't like, they had to actually click on our challenge. So it wasn't super clear for all the kids. And we had to come up with like a little explainer for how it worked. And a lot of people came in that we had to sort of like, they had been doing the school district one and we had to like check a box to like add them to ours in Beanstack. So there was kind of a learning curve.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so stay tuned about Beanstack, but yeah, definitely send me anything I can share with the DPI. It would make all of our lives easier if we could continue with it. And I know that the DPI is very supportive of it. Okay, and as a reminder, you can use Beanstack any time of the year. A lot of us use it in the summertime, but you can use it any time of the year. And speaking of summertime, I'm going to turn things over to all of you. I know that this is often a meeting where we share anecdotes and we share success stories or simply stories about how the summer went. We know that Murray up in Marshfield had a very successful Harry Potter program in early August. 600 kids attended. That's great. It Does anybody want to be the first person to share something about your summer? I have talked to some library directors who said that their numbers are, if not almost back up to 2019, have been way over 2019. So it sounds like in some communities that we're back, the SLP is back, and people have found us. Oh, thank you, Nicole.
So I would say our summer was mostly pretty typical. It was our first summer having a paper version of our reading challenge that we do on Beanstack, and so folks really appreciated having both. But I think a lot of you have done that already. And our numbers were good. We're not quite back up to what they had been, but my staff and I all agreed that we think this was the busiest August we've ever seen, and not just in terms of checkouts or even program numbers, but just the amount of people coming in and using the library. You know, usually that drops off pretty drastically, especially by the end of August, but we were busy the entire month. So that was exciting for us.
That's great. Anybody else experience a busy August?
Sort of related to that, we had a fair bit of foot traffic this summer. And I just had this moment in my office where I hear like all the shrieking and the laughing and the talking and stuff out in the children's section. And like I just had this moment of joy because it's like this is normal. Like it was so quiet during the pandemic, and we get to hear these people laughing and coming together again. So that was really encouraging to me. Um, and I hope a lot all of you got to experience that because it was great.
Thank you for describing that moment of joy. I think we all like to be reminded of those moments of joys when we have them. Anybody else? Let me check, make sure there's nothing in the chat.
Well, oh, sure.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Go ahead, Patty.
Oh, I was just gonna say we had our first field trip program. I had never done that before. So about 40 people met me at a fish hatchery about 15 minutes away. And yeah, it was fun. You can't have all the programs like that, but for one time it was good. And I had a kind of a different group too. So yeah, so that was the first this summer.
How many people did you say?
About 40.
40.
A lot of
okay.
families, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And what a perfect field trip for the summer's program theme. Hi, Catherine. I saw
Hi,
that you, yeah.
yeah, we had, I did almost all of our programs outside. And what I learned is that we can accommodate so many more people outdoors than we would ever be able to inside. So I think going forward, I'm just always going to do that in the summer and have our biggest shows outside, and then our workshops we can do inside. But I saw in the chat that somebody had the Mississippi River Museum, and we did too. And oh my gosh, we had 250 people, which was twice as big as any program that we've ever done in the past. So that was pretty exciting. Yeah. So our programs were pretty well attended, especially those big outdoor ones. We're lucky we have a picnic shelter right behind our library, a large picnic shelter that's next to the pool. And that worked really well. There's electricity in there, there's lighting. We could have programs in there even when it was raining. So it was just pretty ideal. Thanks.
Thank you, Catherine. And Katie from Poinet has let us know that there have been small declines since 2014, but there was a really great turnout this year. Congratulations. And that patrons in your library like the paper forms. Yep, hang them on their fridge. I still have those in my house too. They love being stacked. Yep, so paper is still important. As a river rat myself, I'm really excited to go to the Mississippi River Museum in Dubuque. All these years I've never gone, so if any of you have them next summer, I might show up and come see what the program's like. It sounds great. And Brooke and New Glarus had outdoor programming all summer long. The field trip to the school garden. That's so great. I think about the school gardens. The children put so much work into it and excitement during the school years, but then, during the summertime, sometimes we don't see, or they don't see the fruits of their labor. So that sounds great. And they got to taste some food and water the plants. Oh, that sounds wonderful, Brooke. That was Brooke. Yeah, thank you. I'll add that to the notes. Hi, Murray. Yeah, thank you.
One program that we did this year that we've never done before, this was an idea of one of my colleagues. We did outside, we did a toddler splash time. We just put up one of those pop-up tents that you see at farmers markets and whatever, and then just put out a kiddie pool and filled it with water and let it kind of sit in the sun so it would be warm. And then had kids come and play in the water. I mean, we just kind of became glorified lifeguards and just let the kids play. And we had some water toys and some of the plastic like bathtub books. So we didn't get a huge turnout, but we still had probably like 13 kids at the two that we did this summer. So we're probably going to do that next summer again, like once or twice a month.
Sounds great. And the connection with the plastic board books. Very fun. In Monticello, they use the badge books from Beanstack, and the community loved them. We had so many kids bring their books in to show off how much they had read. Oh, that's fantastic. Crystal or Laura, I was just at Monticello. No, I wasn't. I was in Albany, and I apologize. I apologize that I got the two libraries mixed up. Thank you, Crystal. I'm so sorry. I did that twice to you. Anything else about summer library program? Going once. Oh, yes, Nicole.
I just wanted to talk about prizes a little bit.
Okay.
I know we've talked about incentives a lot. And, you know, we used to have what we called the prize suitcase that kids would love. And we would just have little tiny cheap trinkets in it, kind of like what they would get out of a Happy Meal type of thing. But we have since gone away from that. And now we give them a free book when they reach their first milestone, and then we give them a second free book at the end, and also some local coupons and things like that. But I think it's gone over really well, and we handed out over 500 free books this summer to the community, which is, I think, just amazing. It's really neat to be able to say that. So yeah, just I know we've kind of always talked about the progression of prizes and making sure that it's easily accessible to everyone and things like that. So that's just kind of a first for us to not have toy type prizes.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Did anybody comment on it?
No. I mean,
That's what, yeah.
I think there's some kids left that remember it and miss it, but I think the parents and, you know, me being a parent, I appreciate not having all of that plastic junk that just piles up that we have to throw away eventually. So yeah, I think it's been a good transition.
That's great. And, you know, we've had the last couple of years to change things out and to try different things. So it's a good time to transition to a different prize or incentive program.
And that's the reason we took the suitcase away last summer, so that the kids' hands weren't all in the same place touching everything. So we kind of ripped the Band-Aid off.
Congratulations. Okay, Anne from Portage is asking everybody and Nicole that they did something very similar. Did you have grand prize raffles with larger incentives? The kids completed reading cards were their tickets for the raffles in Portage. So yeah, I guess we're asking about, did you have grand prizes in Stevens Point in Portage County?
No, not a question, just commenting to Nicole that we did something similar to what she did.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification, Anne. Em, There we go. And Catherine, yes, please.
One more thing. So I've always had prize books that I keep in my office that are like donated books. And last year I went to letting the kids choose. What I did was I sent them a link to Books for School, and I let them choose on the website a book. And that made a huge difference. We had much happier kids when they were able to pick out a book and get the book of their choice. So that's what I did again this year, and that worked pretty well. And I did that also because of COVID, because I wanted them to just have something at home that they could choose from. And I'll keep doing it because that works pretty well. And then those books are a great deal.
And that was from Books for Schools?
Books for School, yeah.
For school, okay. I'll add that link to the notes when I get those out. Thank you for that. And that's a perfect way to spend your youth literacy funds too. Andrea.
I'm just wondering, Catherine, how you disseminated the books then?
Oh, I just got a delivery and then they just come in to pick them up. I keep them at the front desk with their names on them, and they just get them when they come in.
So
How
you
quick
ordered, oh, sorry.
Sorry. How quick did the books come in, Catherine, after the kids selected them?
Oh, very quick. They deliver like within a week, I would say, maybe even less. Yeah. And Sean, that's that website is Books for School.
Okay. Thank you. I think I've
Catherine,
seen that.
how did you control your funding for that? Like, were the books all the same price?
Oh, so on the website they have a category called value books. And those books are all like, most of them are $1.99. And some of them are even hardbacks. So they have both hardbacks and paperbacks. And, they're just like very slightly older books. And there are pages and pages of them, like hundreds and hundreds of books to choose from. So that's what I do. I give them a limit of $5. That's what I do. So
Oh.
most of them were $1.99.
So did you just do one big order like at the end of the summer once
Yep.
everyone had picked? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have any issues with not getting that immediate
No, I just explained that
gratification?
it would be a little bit of a wait, because I was going to wait till all the orders were in before placing my order, and they were all fine with it.
I'm thinking of, that is such a great experience too, for kids to come to the library and get something from the front desk. And it probably was pretty rewarding for other staff members too, to
Yeah.
hand out books.
Mhm. And the kids are so thrilled to see their book that they've ordered. Especially, yeah, so excited.
An experience of delayed gratification. Mary, thank you. Mary from Stoughton has added another link. Bookdepot.com is another place for affordable books. Thank you. And then we had another question from Kristen in Fitchburg asking about, has anybody completely moved away from prizes? And a question specifically for her colleagues in Verona, Oregon, or Middleton, regarding certain coupons being handed out maybe all at once. So if one of you want to connect with Kristen at Fitchburg.
Yeah, so I can speak as to what we do at Verona. I haven't had anyone mention doing multiple summer learning programs, or at least not to me, and none of the patrons, but and I think it's kind of, I'm not sure if Beanstack, when you try to do that, makes you like create a whole other account. But for us, we give away some coupons when they get halfway through the log, and they get to pick a free book off the prize book cart. And then when they finish their log, they can come back in and they get another free book, and they get a little bag with some more coupons and the certificate for completing the challenge. And there's like one small toy that's different for the pre-readers and for the school-aged kids. And then if they read like a certain amount of hours more, they can get a third free book.
Thank you. We have more recommendations for places to purchase affordable books in the chat, which I will add to the notes. And Katie from Poinet is asking, for those libraries who give books, what is the age range? Do you allow for adult books too?
Well, I can just say that we don't give away books to adults. Just kids, but it's all ages of kids, you know, babies through teens. We have not had much success here with adult reading programs. Not much interest.
Thank you for that. Verona and Cambridge have reported they only give free kids books. And Nicole up at Portage County, Baraboo has 2 sets of carts, one for youth and one for teens, which might include some adult books. That makes sense. Birth through 5th grade in Portage. That there were teen and adult programs, but they had other prizes, other types of prizes. So I'm seeing of the people who are attending this meeting, most of us are only providing those youth books. And yeah, gift, like as Patty said in Cambridge, adults like the gift cards or postage stamps. Oh, cool. We gave some Shark Lady postage stamps out as prizes. Oh, that's a cool idea. And then there was the question earlier about, have any of you moved away from prizes completely? That's a big move, I know. Thanks, Murray Marshfield, up to age 17, chooses books. All right, well, if anybody does, please let us know how it goes, if you have questions, what you're thinking about, because I think a lot of us are interested in that too. And so many libraries have moved away, as Nicole up in Portage County described, from giving away the plastic toys. I've seen such a huge shift away from that in my career, and I think it's pretty great. And Nuclearis, thank you, Brooke, regarding their adult summer reading program. And that's another thing I've seen, especially with Beanstack, that there are more adult programs. It's easier to track adult programs, and I don't know if Bethany or Brittany or anybody from Sauk City is here, but looking at the prizes and just the social media presence of the adult winners, that they get their pictures taken too and seem just as happy as the kids who win. All right, so we still have some time left. Let's now look at the future. What are you thinking about for the fall? Do you want to ask questions of anybody or share some of your ideas that you have for the fall? What are you looking forward to doing?
So I'm planning to start a sort of an early reader book club where instead of having the kids read books ahead of time, it's going to be very short, only 30 minutes, and we're going to read, or I'm going to read to them a book from a popular like early reader series. Like the first one's going to be Elephant and Piggy, and then we'll do a little craft and maybe talk about the books a little bit and see how it goes. And I'm excited about that. But I would like to hear if anyone else has done a book club for kids 5, 6, 7, or 8. I would love to hear any tips or tricks.
I don't have any tips or tricks, but out of curiosity, what time of day are you going to be running it?
It'll be at 4 to 4:30 on a Thursday each month.
That sounds really great. Catherine, I know I hate to put you on the spot, but I know you've had different types of book clubs. Have you gone that young?
I did one this summer for the first time ever. And the kids were rather adorable, but they didn't quite get the concept of talking about the book, you know? But that's okay. I didn't have anything else planned, and I wish I had, you know, like you're doing a craft. I think they needed something like that. So I've learned that for next time.
Thank you. And I kind of called on Catherine because she did a great program that she's mentioned a few times on these meetings where during Lego Club, the kids come and work on Lego while Catherine reads to them. So that idea of, and it's just the craft and the hands-on, just thinking about brain development, that's great ways of including hands-on during a book club. Okay, Fitchburg. Oh my goodness, there are people trying. In Fitchburg, they have a book club for 5 to 8-year-olds. It's 30 minutes. Read a story and do the craft. And it sounds like that's what you've been doing in Portage too. For those of us who are joining us, welcome. We're talking about book clubs for younger kids. And some of us are going to have some this fall. We're also talking about fall and autumn programs. So if there's anything that you're planning for fall, for the upcoming season, or even, early next year, please feel free to talk about it, to praise them. Okay, and Anne has more. Oh no, that was Katie in Poinet, collaborating with the school for a 4K literacy night, and then book club for 5th through 6th graders, weekly story times, and participating with the Chamber of Commerce Halloween trick or treat. Wow, we've got a busy fall coming up, Katie. And Andrea in Monroe asks if anybody is working consistently with homeschoolers. Everybody's back to school.
Andrea, tomorrow at Portage, we're doing a homeschool family meetup because we do have a lot of homeschool families in Portage. And so we're giving them a chance to get to know each other. And then we're also going to ask the families how the library can support what they're, if they need certain resources, if they're looking for certain kind of programming. We did kind of reach out to the families that we know that are homeschool families already, and some of them already said they're in some groups and Facebook groups, but there was some new families that are looking forward to, getting a chance to meet some of the others in the area. So we'll see how it goes. We've never done one, so.
Keep us posted.
We have something very similar in Mount Horeb. My colleague in youth services actually is a homeschooler of her own children. So she has done a homeschool open house for many years. And ours is coming up in 2 weeks, Monday evening. There's some snacks. It's the same kind of thing that Anne was just describing. And then if we have like materials that we haven't chosen to add to the collection, donations, etc., things we've just collected over the past year, there's like a giveaway for people to pick some stuff up and take it home and use it with their schooling.
We just had our homeschool meet and greet last week, and I had set out on the table a list of like information drop pages. So as people are discussing and getting to know each other, they could think, oh, this information might be beneficial to others, and they could go and they could write it down so that I could compile after the meet and greet the information that they provided. And then also a place for them to ask questions and give programming ideas. So we have had over the past few years, we've had a few homeschool families, but it's been growing the past year. And so I want to make sure that I'm actually providing what they want. So I think that's my biggest thing, is like learning to be a better listener. So.
Do you ever do programs for them? I'm sorry. I
Yes.
interrupted you.
Yeah,
we
that's
have
what
a
I was
once-a-month
say.
program.
A monthly
You do
program.
once a month?
Once a month homeschool program. Yep.
This, like the one that you were just describing, or?
No. So this is just to initiate the beginning of our year, is this meet and greet time. And we had a lot of new families that came. So I'm hopeful that they'll continue coming throughout the year.
Could you describe a program that you'll have perhaps in October for the rest of us?
Yeah, well, I think that's the hardest part about homeschool as a audience base, is it can be pretty much anything. And it really varies by community and what isn't already being met in the community. So actually an example of last year, that something that my particular group of families really found useful was we had a oral presentation day. And so the parents assigned whatever they wanted it to be. They gave their children the length and the topic, and I just basically set up the front of the room, gave them the podium and microphone, and they got to kind of experience something that is hard to do for homeschool families, and that's speaking in front of a group of people. So, so that's one thing. Last year we did like a cooking class. We've done like a volunteer project in the past. So it's really quite diverse, and there's not a whole lot of limits.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? We want to know in Fitchburg, what type of snacks do you have at your book club, Kristen? And while Kristen is answering that, and Hannah, I'm going to completely second you. I love that idea about presentations and public speaking for homeschool kids. I can feel everybody's enthusiasm about that. Okay, anything else about this fall or any questions? Thank you, Kristen. Oh, yum. Small snacks, something purchased, individually wrapped. Sometimes they tie it to the book. Mochi ice cream. Fun. My kids would love that. Are there other questions about serving food or snacks at programs? Anything that has changed in the last couple of years, or anything that you recommend or not recommend? That was just a topic to throw out there. All right, I'm going to look back at our agenda. I have linked to our agenda the upcoming events that we have through the end of the year that will be of interest to youth services librarians. So if you want to take a look at that, we have a monthly CCBC Shorts webinar planned for every month between now and December. We also have youth services check-in meetings for every month between now and December, except for November, because we'll be getting together in person at the youth services, the annual youth programming workshop, which will be held on November 11th. At the Olbert Gardens. So we will provide more information about that in-person program. But right now, I can tell you that Anna Horuse, who used to work at the Baraboo Public Library, is presenting an afternoon program for us on hands-on program ideas. And we are having Megan and Mary from the CCBC present in the morning about collection development and also about any book challenges. So it's going to be very much a collection development focus in the morning, and they're looking forward to doing that, and we're looking forward to working with them. So some local talent, we have so much of it here in our region and in the state for the 2022 annual youth programming workshop. Let me know if you have any questions or ideas for that workshop. We will have registration open very soon. And I also have brought back the very informal Book Bites programs, which, let me look at the dates. We have one on Friday, October 14th, and then another one Friday, December 16th. And these programs are times for you to talk to each other about books that you're using in programs, new books that you've just read that you might be considering using in programs, and I'll highlight some new books that I've just received from review copies. And speaking of review copies, I still have a lot of books to give away, and there's a link up in the agenda for the Google form where you can let me know what types of books you'd want, and I will send some out to you. I have a lot still from 2021 and some from earlier this year that I want to get all into your libraries. So, any questions about books or anything you're reading right now that you think we all should be reading? This is the time of year when I read every single book I can about Amherst, Massachusetts, because I'm getting into the fall mood, getting into a little bit of a Halloween vibe. So a lot of it, mostly adult books. So that's where I am right now.
My favorite picture book from this summer was Crocodile Hungry, if you haven't seen that one. It is hilarious. This crocodile goes on a journey to try to find food, and he tries going to the grocery store, he tries going to the farmer's market, and everyone's screaming, not good. And like the kids were in stitches, the parents were in stitches. It was great.
Thank you for that, Bethany. Did you use it in programs throughout the summer?
I used it for, well, we specifically had a crocodile and alligator story time. So like, yeah, and for that one, we did row, row, row your boat. And then the second part of it goes, if you see a crocodile, don't forget to scream. And then they all shout afterwards.
A moment of joy for you. There was noise in the library.
We really enjoyed the picture book Somewhere in the Bayou by Jarrett Pumphrey. My staff and I were all cracking up over it. We haven't read it to kids yet. It's probably for a slightly older crowd than our typical story time, I would say, but we all really appreciated that one.
Thank you, Nicole. I'll add that to the notes. Murray has read The Ogress and the Orphans and the Atlas 6 for a YA crossover. Yeah, it's Bethany nodding her head. Maybe next month we can start talking about what are your predictions for the annual awards. I have a lot of reading to do, a lot of youth reading to do. Nicole, yes, I see you. Ogres and Orphans is now on my reading list, so I will add that. Thank you.
Just happen to have this in my office. It's The Best Artist in the Ocean. And at the end, he doesn't make a mess, but he makes a masterpiece. So it's pretty cute.
Thanks, Patty. I'll add that to our list too. We're glad to see you, Helen. The recording will be available afterward too to check in. The last map maker. I think I have that on my list too. Murray, thank you. Sweetie by Andrea Zool. Catherine, thank you. I still have my piles all over the house. In my office. Endlessly Ever After picture book. A choose your own adventure type book. Thank you, Jess. All of our lists are getting longer. So before we go, I just want to let you know that we have a CCBC Shorts next Wednesday at 9 o'clock. I have information about how to register for it in today's agenda. So feel free to register for that. We're switching from the GoToWebinar format to Zoom. So there's just a slight little change. It shouldn't look any different to you, but just letting you know that we're not using GoToWebinar anymore. We're using Zoom. She Wanted to Be Haunted from Jess in Reedsburg. Quite funny read. Don't think I'd use it in story time, but we'll see. Oh, that's Chester Van Chime too. Oh, good. Oh, we're getting lots of book recommendations. I love it. All right. Well, our next check-in meeting is next month on Tuesday, October 11th at 1 o'clock. Thank you to everybody who joined us today, and thank you for everybody who contributed and to everybody who listened and felt inspired by everyone's wisdom today. Please let me know if there's any topics you want to talk about next month or anytime. And next week is Banned Books Week, so we didn't talk about intellectual freedom, but that's something we can definitely address in an upcoming meeting too. All right, everybody. So have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you both virtually and in person in the coming months. Bye-bye.